contracts on new homes were up 14% in July, guys. That's just an astounding number. Now, these are national numbers, except for the Seattle number, obviously. But I mean, 14% increase in signed contracts in 1 month is just an astounding number. So again, people are out there buying. COVID is not an issue. I mean, again, if you're sitting at home waiting for COVID to blow off or waiting for the housing market to collapse, I don't think it's going to happen. Last note is on the FHFA House Price Index, which measures home price appreciation on single-family homes with conforming loan amounts. So that's like conventional loans. That was up 0.9% from May to June, or 5.7% year over year. So think about this. It was up in 1 month, 0.9%. So that means that houses in the average price point of around 500,000 are increasing at about, if you did an annual amount on 0.9%, that's almost 12% annually increase in appreciation. So just some astounding numbers out there on housing and values, and people are out there buying even during a pandemic. I mean, I hear a lot of people like, I don't know, I'm wary about the market, but these numbers can't lie. They're not lying. People are out there in droves buying houses. So I feel like the people that are waiting are just missing the boat. Talking about rates right now, rates are still fantastic, but they have creeped up a little bit in the last week or two. We're looking at maybe high twos. I'm trying to say that without smiling. Yeah, so they're up higher today. High twos, around 2.75, 2.875 on average on 30-year fixed conventional loans. I mean, there's a lot of factors that go into that. FHA and VA are about in the same boat, about 2.75, 2.875 as well. So some smoking rates still out there for your home buyers. A great opportunity to get out there and buy a house and just have amazing affordability and lower payments with these rising house prices. Last thing I want to address is with the FHFA, that's the Federal Housing Finance Agency. They basically are the entity, the government-sponsored entity that runs Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. And I've addressed this in my update last Friday, guys, but I want to address it again, as they instilled a 0.5% refinance tax on all refinances, cash out, no cash out, or whatever. And I feel like this is outrageous for them to do this. They're kind of sneaking it in when business is good and not really taking into effect of what the impact is on the client, our clients, and the people that are struggling out there, people that could refinance to a lower rate now have to pay a higher rate because the FHFA has decided that they want to store a little more money for the winter, like little squirrels storing nuts. I feel like this is definitely a bad thing. We did email out to everybody in our client database, as well as our realtor partners and partners in general, a form that you could go and sign up and send letters to your senators to combat this fee. We feel like it's a major negative for everybody that's struggling here during COVID, and we want to get that repealed. So if you get that email, please sign up. It doesn't cost anything. All you have to do is put a little bit of personal information in there, and then they have these letters set up already to go directly to your congresspersons, depending on what area you're located in. So easy squeezy, and we can put some pressure on the FHFA to kind of help everybody around us that's looking to refinance, that's struggling right now with, the bills and being laid off, unemployment, especially restaurant workers and things like that aren't back to full capacity yet. I think this is a really important thing that we all need to stand up against them and get this changed. Other than that, I'm going to turn it over to Sky. Super excited that Elise is on here again, so I can't wait to hear. Go, Sky.
Okay. Well, I've had the pleasure of knowing Elise for a while now. I actually met her through the Women's Council of Realtors, and she is a phenomenal speaker, and she's a productivity coach, she has a really cool program, which hopefully she'll tell us a little bit about. That's called GIST, which stands for Get Your You Know What Together. And so I just think she has a really fresh, fun, youthful, energetic take on just that, getting your you know what together. And so I thought she would be an amazing person to bring on, specifically in the middle of the summer, in the middle of a pandemic, when it's been a crazy year, and I feel like all of us kind of need just to exactly do what we're going to do today, which is reset our productivity. So thank you so much, Elise, for being here, and I'll let you take it away.
All right, thanks for having me. Okay, this is where we do the awkward, let's get the screen share going kind of thing. So just bear with me. So I love having visuals. Like I love having something that people can reference and refer to. So Leon, you're walking, be careful. Don't look at your phone too much. I don't want you to trip or anything. But we
Hey,
are gonna
I
go.
can multitask with the best
Oh,
of them.
good. Good, good. I'm like, be careful. So get some visuals going here. And I also want to make sure you guys have your chat going. So we are going to be doing lots of chatting here. We have, the size of this group, we can do a little bit of unmuting here and there, but I want to kind of keep things flowing for you guys today. So I'm just pulling up the chat. So make sure you have your chat pulled up. And if you want to test it out, just say hi so I know that you're here. That would be awesome. So I'll be keeping an eye on that. But Sky and Jalen are also going to be keeping an eye on the chat for me too, just in case I miss something. So say hi, put a hi in the chat for me so that I know that you're, oh, thanks, Sky. Good job. Good job. Oh, and I even get a kissy face from Jen. That's good. I love it. All right, let's kick things off. So yes, I'm Elise Enriquez. I'm a productivity coach and consultant with longer hair because pandemic than it is in this picture. But really what I'm all about is helping people get clear about who they are and the kind of impact they want to have in the world, about improving their communication with who matters most to them, whether that's clients, whether that's family, business partners, team members, and also helping them to create personalized systems and strategies to support them through the highs and the lows of life and business. And boy, has 2020 presented highs and lows, right? Especially in the real estate and lending spaces where we have the struggle of the pandemic, but also the high of a really strong market and great rates that were, and low rates, but you know what I mean by the high there, but really great rates, really great market. And so there's a lot of juggling that's happening right now. And so my job is to help people manage, kind of what that roller coaster of life can be sometimes. Basically, I take my experience from the operational world of corporate America, the sales world of real estate, and then, of course, this transformational world of coaching to help people build a life and work that they love while still enjoying the journey along the way, because life is too short not to. This is the more real life version of me. That was the airbrushed, I had my makeup and hair done by a professional kind of version. This is just who I am as a person. I just have always loved organizing things, creating, coordinating, connecting. There's a lot of things we aren't doing right now during a pandemic. I'm not gathering people really anymore like I used to, but I'm still doing a lot of cooking and sorting and rearranging and music and all those kinds of things. And one of the things I always talk about when I do any of my presentations is that I'm also somebody who is thriving after divorce. That is a big life growth experience that not everybody has gone through. So I always like people to know that part of my life in case they need some extra support for themselves there. All right. So a bit of housekeeping before we really, really get started. And that is to say, be here and nowhere else. So if you're not watching on your phone, put your phone away, right? Try not to multitask except for walking and watching, Leon. If you want to start your video, I'd love to see your faces so that way we can connect more. To be honest, it helps you be accountable to being here. So show up if you'd like to. I'd love to see your faces. And know that we're going to be, thanks, Leon, and know that we're going to be using the chat today, like I said. All right. So my bold promise to you is that we will wrap things up where you will have one action that you can take to break through to productivity, to break through to improved levels of productivity. And I will provide you a free resource at the end. So if you stay through to the end, you'll get access to that free resource. So I want to know that you guys can be all in with me today. All right, you all in? So if you are, please put a Y in the chat if you are all in. And I will wait while you put a Y in the chat. Okay, Jalen's in, Sky's in, anybody else in? Everybody else is like, okay, Jen, yes, thanks, Jennifer. Yay, Jeff. Wait, there's not just a Y from Jeff. That is an I'm all in. Sarah, Alex, yay. Whoever iPhone is, love it. Yay, yay, yay. Great, so glad. All right, you guys found the chat. It's working. We're doing this. Okay, here's what we're gonna talk about today. We're gonna do a status check because of everything that's going on in the world. More yays and yeses, yay. We're going to bust some productivity myths. We are going to explore some productivity roadblocks. And then, like I said, I'll get you access to that free resource. Please go ahead and ask questions in the chat as we go. And I'll be asking you guys to, give me some answers in the chat as we go too. And if there's something that you feel uncomfortable asking in front of everybody, I just popped my contact information into the chat. So my email address is there. please feel free to email me any questions or anything like that that you have at any point, and I'll get back to you later. But just want to make sure you have that as a resource for you too. All right, so let's start off with a status check. I want you, for those of you who are at your desk or at a place where you can be, seriously grab a pen and paper. Grab a pen and piece of paper. And I'm watching Jalen get her stuff. Okay, good. Good. Leading by example. Joanne, I think, is getting settled in. All right, great. So I want you to jot down for yourself, why did you show up here today? Besides Jeff's awesome market update and the whole team being awesome, why did you show up here today for this topic? Leon is always learning. I love it, Leon. Yes. So write it down for yourself and then do what Leon did. He's going to be my star pupil today, it sounds like, and pop it into the chat. Tell me why you showed up today. So Leon's always learning. Why did you show up today? Jalen's like, because my boss said so. No, just kidding. So tell me in the chat why you showed up today. Curiosity, to optimize productivity. Yay. Awesome, Jen. Always possible to improve the performance. That's right, Alex. Love it. All right, keep popping them in there. Tell us why you showed up today. This is for you to know this. We need to have you be clear about your intentions for today. Because one of the things that Sky and I were talking about is in this whole pandemic life that we have, there's been a lot of reactivity because we're all just kind of waiting to see what's going to happen. And we need to step out of that and into intention. So that's part of showing up here today is why are you even here? Because it's difficult to stay productive during a pandemic. Yes, Jalen, there's a lot of distractions. All right, so speaking of which, how would you rate your current productivity level on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being, I am totally rocking this, I'm rocking life, I'm rocking work, I'm rocking everything, to 1 being like, huh? Like, I don't even know where I am right now. So on a scale of 1 to 10, where would you rate your level of productivity right now? Awesome, we're seeing 5s and 6.5. I love 6.5. This is like my favorite people are the decimal point and fraction people. When I ask people to rate themselves, they're like, I'm like a 5.2. So, and then why? Why are you, whatever that number is? Oh yeah, I feel like I've been slipping because I'm unemployed. Absolutely. That is a big struggle for people right now. I'm so glad you said that, iPhone, whoever you are. It is something I'm witnessing in our family. So my wife has been unemployed because of everything, and she's working on getting something started up right now. But at the same time, it's hard when you don't have kind of your usual rhythms that you had before to kind of restart and reset. So thank you so much for saying that. Yay, Jen's at an 8, trying to get as much done, but dropping things on the list. Absolutely, absolutely. Cool. All right, so now we know about where we're at. You know, we're middling and upwards, so that's good. So what are your biggest productivity roadblocks right now? So our iPhone friend, you know, said unemployment is a big productivity roadblock. Losing that regular schedule for yourself and kind of losing the feeling like, what could I be doing today? It can be a real big productivity roadblock. What is it that's a roadblock for you right now? So go ahead and write it down for yourself first and then pop it into the chat. So try, Leon, because I know I could be doing more maybe, but slow down to take a break. Yeah. Consistent systems and delegating, Jen. Absolutely. And, you know, summer, Sky and I were talking about this before too, like for coaching, for my world, summer things can slow down because I work with a lot of realtors and lenders. And so they're really busy this time of year, right? So they're not as focused on it right now. And for other people, they're choosing, right? They're choosing to slow things down for the summer. And then of course we mix the pandemic in, we've got a whole other obstacle coming on. Babysitting. Oh my gosh, I can only imagine. Agencies that are closed. Yes, going through personally hard times at home, causing distractions. Absolutely, absolutely. There is so much more, especially when we're all working from home a lot too, where we're in the midst of all these distractions that weren't there before, and just figuring out how to do all that. Okay, cool. Thank you so much for sharing, guys. Okay, so we got all that off our chest. We know why you're here. We know what's getting in your way. We want to focus on a reset. And a reset is an instance of setting, adjusting, or fixing something in a new or different way. That's all we're doing. It doesn't have to be a whole, wipe the slate clean thing. We're just adjusting and fixing things in a different way. Trying to keep motivation and momentum going to keep working at portfolio. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And figuring out what those small wins can be along the way. So what I want you guys to be listening for are what are the adjustments and fixes we can make. And what I promise you is I'm only going to get you, I'm going to share a lot with you, but we're going to get to one thing that you can do, because it does no good for any of us for me to overwhelm you today, right? So we're going to explore a lot and then really focus it down to one action you can take, and then you can take more actions after that. Does that sound good? All right. Cool. Okay, so we did our status check. We are now going to explore some productivity myths. So let's dig right into those myths right now. We're going to look at each of these in turn, but the myth number one is I should be able to handle all of this. The myth number two is I have too much to do or I don't have enough time. Those are kind of two sides of the same coin. Is that how you say it? And then being productive means getting more done. So we're gonna keep exploring these myths. All right, so myth number one, I should be able to handle all of this. Has anybody felt this way before? Like, come on, I'm smart. I should be able to do this, right? If only intelligence, right, and experience was enough to open up all the realms of possibility. The truth is your brain is meant for having ideas, not holding them. That is one of my favorite concepts that I learned from productivity guru David Allen, that your brain is for having ideas and not holding them. And so a lot of people are trying to hold all of this in their heads or hold all of it in just like a number of different systems. The truth is and this is from a 2008 study. I'm trying to find updated data. So if anybody knows of updated data on this, let me know. But we have 34 gigabytes of data a day coming at us, right? That would fill up a laptop in a week. That much is coming at us at all times. And so I used to have people, I was saying used to, because when I would do stuff in person, when I would present something like this in person, people would come up to me afterwards and say, I used to be able to manage it all. I had 4 kids and I did dentist appointments and doctor's appointments and school and PTA, blah, 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 and worked full time. And I just was able to do it all. I think I'm just getting old and I just can't hold it all in my head anymore. It's like, we never could. There is more coming at us now than there ever was before. And so we can't hold it all. So we have to look at the fact that our truth is that our brain is for having ideas and not holding them. So we need a place to hold them, right? But before we go there, I'm curious, I want to hear from you guys. What are the risks of buying into this myth that I should be able to handle all of this? What are the risks of buying into that myth? Tell me about it in the chat. And if someone's feeling particularly vocal, feel free to unmute and let me know what you're thinking. But if nothing else, put it in the chat. Burnout, absolutely. What else? What are the other risks of thinking that you should be able to handle all of this? Failure, yep. Trying to take everything on alone, absolutely. We are not alone, people. We got communities here. We need to help. Quitting, shutting down, absolutely. Setting yourself up to fail already. Yep. Yeah, buying into these myths, they hurt us, right? So here's some of the stuff that I came up with. I love your guys's. You believe that there's something wrong with you, right? If I can't do this, like what's wrong with me that I can't do this, which leads to doubt, and then you become hopeless. And so that can be the quitting or shutting down. The most common response I see from people when it comes to overwhelm and when it comes to lack of productivity is they just don't do anything. They find they can make themselves look busy and feel busy, but they're really not getting anything important done. And so people still have fear of going outside their bubble. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. So what can you do, right? How can you create a reliable place to drop things into? That is how you manage this one, is to not assume that you can actually do it all and handle it all, but that you can actually have a place to put it all. So having this one place that holds everything allows you to feel more in control, more on top of things, and more confident in actually juggling the things. So getting to that point where you can have just a few places where all the stuff goes so that you can actually see it all and manage it is really important. All right, let's explore productivity myth number 2. I have too much to do or I don't have enough time, right? The two sides of the same coin there. So the truth is that anxiety, it comes from not knowing what's not getting done. We can be stressed about how much we have to do, but what keeps us up at night, what worries us, what has us on edge all the time is that we don't know what's not getting done. We're not sure what slipped through the cracks. We don't know which ball might have dropped, right? That we have forgotten. So the key is to obviously know all the stuff that needs to get done. And so really, what's the risk of buying into this myth? I want to hear about that from you guys. I have too much to do or I don't have enough time. What's the risk of buying into this myth? Believing it. I love watching you guys figure out what this might be. And I can see who's typing and who's not. Instant anxiety. Oh my gosh, yes, right? Which again can lead to the shutdown, right? Overwhelmed and in a victim state, absolutely. All of a sudden you lose control over your own thoughts about things. It can be easy to like feel like these things are just happening to you, right? That you don't have any control over it. What did I miss is painfully aggravating. Yes. What did I miss? What happened? What did I forget? Oh gosh, right? And for when you actually do forget and the ball really does get dropped, and what damage does that do to us as professionals working with people and everything, right? Time not enough. Absolutely. All right. So here's some of the things I came up with too. You become overwhelmed. So you guys kind of tackled that one already. I'd say you get graspy, grouchy, and greedy. So suddenly, because there's not enough time, you don't spend time with people. You don't even try to make an effort with people, and you're just kind of hoarding all the things that you have instead of being what you need from other people at that point, which is to be generous and to explore, right? You just kind of retreat and get grouchy. And you can give up, right? It's like, there's too much to do. I can't do it anyway. I just give up. So what to do? Oh, and the blame game gets going. Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, and the excuses part can be really easy. One of my favorite things, I don't know if that's the right word. It's a favorite technique to use as a coach. It's the least favorite thing I do when I'm coaching myself, which is to say, what's my part in this, right? What's my part in this? When I catch myself creating excuses, is asking myself, what is my part in my situation? And in my situation being what it is, right? That can be a hard thing to look at. So what do you do instead? You create a picture of your current reality. You get it all out of your head. You get it in front of you so you can make choices and be more clear about what you do want to get done, what you don't want to get done. Be more clear about maybe the fact that you said yes to things you maybe shouldn't have, so you can get more calm and just know where all the balls are and where all the cracks are, and so things can't slip, right? And you can be more brave. And that bravery is around the boundary setting, but the bravery is also around you being able to go after what you want to go after. When you have a complete and accurate picture of your reality, you can start to make more informed choices. I recently sent out an email to my community saying, do you ever have days where you wrap up the day and you don't feel like you got enough done? And I had somebody reply yes. And she started talking about how she wants to spend more time with her kids and summer's running out and blah, blah, blah. And I said, okay, well, when does school start? And she said, I don't know. Sometime after Labor Day, probably, is what she said. Like, she is like head in the sand right now, right? And so I said, I think you need to just get a picture of your current reality. Like, what are the facts? When does school start? How much time do you have left with the boys before they get back to it? They're going to be learning from home, but still, it'll change everything. What do you want to do in that time with them? What do they want to do in that time with you? And how can you guys start thinking about that? But the first step to all of that is really being clear about the reality of your time and the reality of your commitments so that you can make those choices, so that you can explore something new. All right? Okay, so let's explore the final myth. Being productive means getting more done. Big myth. I used to feel this, I thought it's like all about getting more done. And I am somebody who can easily numb myself out on being busy while not actually being productive, while not actually moving forward what matters most. There's a really great book by Charles Duhigg called Smarter, Faster, Better. These are the kinds of dorky books that I read. But he's the author of The Power of Habit. He's a New York Times. The book is a New York Times bestseller, and he's a contributor at the New York Times. But he says productivity is a name we give our attempts to figure out the best use of our energy, intellect, and time as we try to seize the most meaningful rewards with the least wasted effort. It's a process of learning how to succeed with less stress and struggle. It's about getting things done without sacrificing everything we care about along the way, right? And so it can be easy for us to be busy, right? Or it can be easy for us to completely detach, right? All of these things can lead to a lack of productivity. And so to me, the truth is that productivity is about maintaining presence while still moving forward what matters most. It's about enjoying the life that you're living while still aspiring to something more. Because it is my core belief that we are never done. We are never done learning. We are never done growing, right? And so we have to be open to that change while still pursuing that destination and enjoying the journey at the same time. And that's what, to me, productivity is really about. So before we go into a solution on this one, what are the risks of buying into the myth that being productive means getting more done? You were ready with this one, Sky. She was like, oh, here we go. It's easy to use business as negative coping mechanism, escape tactic, busyness. Absolutely. Absolutely. I will be just brutally honest. I remember talking to my ex when we were in the process of our divorce. And when one of the things we talked about was how much he worked. And he was just like, I didn't really want to come home, right? He was using work as a way to escape and avoid the problems that we were having in our marriage. It can be really easy to get ourselves busy. So what else is the risk of buying into this myth that being productive means getting more done? So Leon, love it, following the wrong path, right? The path of not even least resistance, but the path of like, oh, I know how to do that, so I'll just do that, versus the path of like, oh, this is exciting and something I could try that's new. Love this. Is it Johanna, maybe? Oh, I think we got somebody accidentally unmuted, maybe.
Joanne.
Thanks, Sky. Oh, so sorry, go ahead, say it.
Joanne?
Joanne, hi. So I love that, doing many things halfway instead of producing our best work. Can you tell me more about that?
Unmute myself again.
Yeah,
basically, you try to please everyone. So you try to get, stuff done. And basically you just don't give it your all. You just try to get it off your plate and move on to the next thing. And you drop things, you miss a component or something like that, or just make mistakes.
Yeah, and like the flurry of it all, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks so much for speaking up. I appreciate it. So Leon, chasing every maybe shiny new button, I'm guessing is what that says, right?
Yeah,
I
had to add that. Everybody will sit there and go down the path of, when you said least resistance, they see this and they think, oh, hey, this is it. And they jump into it. They don't do their research. And then in the time they chase all the shiny new buttons, it follows into what was just said. They wind up only giving, 60%. And then they quit in frustration because they don't follow it all the way through. So rather than chase every shiny new button, you have to pick a system that will work with you or work for you, or that you feel you're compatible with, and see it through to its end. And, you got to wait and give it time to get the results. You can't expect instant results from anything anymore.
Yep. I know that's definitely our culture, right? Is when we can get food delivered to our door and order on Amazon and get it in the same day, it's easy to expect the results that we're trying to achieve, right, to happen overnight or in the same day. And I love that you talked about that, because that's something that I do actually witness a lot in the real estate and lending world, because there's so many people doing so many cool things out there. There are really a lot of cool ideas out there, but just because something is a good idea doesn't mean it's a good idea for you. And so I love that that thought of like sticking to what works. My coach and I talk about this a lot, is that boredom is okay. Boredom doesn't mean you should be doing something new. Boredom might mean something is working and it's just working, right? And you can just let it work, and you can have other new things to do, but let the boring thing keep happening if it's actually working. So yeah, the shiny new things can be, they can really get in our way. Feeling like you've never accomplished enough, right? Like if being productive means, getting more done, there's always going to be more to do. You're never going to be done. That doesn't feel good, right? So it triggers that anxiety of like, okay, I got it. And like not really being able to rest. You might check out. You might scroll, you might play games on your phone, you might watch hours of Netflix, but that doesn't mean you actually relax and rest, right? Because the underlying anxiety is always there. And you just run yourself ragged. And then of course, exactly what Jalen was saying, kind of this never good enough, never satisfied. And I don't want that for you guys, right? So it's important that you're giving yourself this regular time to check in with your priorities so that you can feel more on track and feel more accomplished and feel more fulfilled. You deserve the time, and I do it on a weekly basis. I do it on Friday mornings. I have a group of people in my GIST program, as Sky mentioned earlier, my Get Your Stuff Together program. Well, Get Your Systems, we'll say, together program, where every Friday we get together and we get our systems back to good. We tie a bow around the week. We look at the week ahead and get back to good. We get our inboxes to zero, all that kind of stuff, so that it doesn't mean we got everything done. It means that we know what didn't get done, and we're okay with that. We made decisions, we made choices, and we're clear about it. So it's not about getting everything done. It's not about doing more. It's about being able to have a place to prioritize what needs to get done so that you can feel fulfilled at the end of the day. You can feel more complete at the end of the day and at the end of your week. And, obviously start your week strong. All right, so we busted some productivity myths. If you guys have any questions or thoughts or feedback, please feel free to pop them in the comments. But now let's move on. Oh yeah, recap. Sorry, I forgot my order of things. Just to recap on the solution. So the things that you can do to help yourself are pick a place you trust to put all the things. And by all the things, I mean all the things that need to get done, all the things that you're thinking about. Have one place that you capture all of that you gather it all up and keep it there so that you are not scattered, right? So you're not looking all over for that thing that you had to do. I use a program called GQs. And so everything just goes in there. It goes in from my phone. It goes in at my desk. Everything goes into this app for me. And so I don't ever have to be like, wait, what was that thing I was thinking about again? I only have one place to go to remember what needs to get done. And you guys can easily do that possibly with a CRM tool that you already have, or with just simple task lists, but having one place that you trust to put all the things, right? Get it down to one notebook, right? So the second thing is to paint that picture of your current reality. And so when you have a system that helps you do that, get your calendar to the point where it shows what your day really does look like and what your commitments really are. Take stock of things like if you have kids and you're going to be, all of a sudden you're going to be making lunches for them throughout the school day, right? You're going to have to make meals for them throughout the school day before the school is feeding them, right? Part of your reality now is going to be time to be prepping lunches and be doing more meal stuff, right? This isn't going to wrap up like it did, in years past. Like summer, you can send them back to school, right? So that's part of your reality that will be really important to maybe have on your calendar, so you can be more thoughtful about how much time you really have to get things done. So that's just one example of painting a picture of your current reality. And then 3, give yourself a regular time to check in on your priorities. This was the thing that it seriously took me almost 10 years to do. Like I had everything else in place with my systems except this thing, where I allowed myself the time to really get things back to good at the end of every week. And it changed everything for me, absolutely everything. So those are the 3 solutions that you can focus on. All right. Lastly, we're going to just tackle some productivity roadblocks. We're going to do this quickly, so that way there's time for questions and exploration and whatnot. But the productivity roadblocks, these are the things that I notice most that get in people's way the most. So I've been coaching it's been 11 years now. The past 5 years has been more focused specifically on productivity strategies and tactics. And in running my programs and coaching people one-on-one, this is what I see the most of. These are the hurdles and the roadblocks I see most. Number 1, things are scattered, right? So they have papers everywhere. They have a ton of different notepads. They have a bunch of different places where they're trying to keep track of it all, right? Things are just scattered. There's stacks, there's piles, there's, lots of stuff everywhere, right? And it might not be physical stuff. It could be brain stuff. There's ideas. There's, people are popping by all the time and that sparks something new. There's Post-its, right? All of those different things. That scattered feeling of not quite sure where everything's at and not quite sure what needs to get done. So that's one of the biggest ones. The second one is focusing on the latest and loudest. This is especially true for folks in real estate and lending, because the latest and loudest, we know how quickly a transaction can turn, right? We know how quickly something can go astray, go awry, right? We know how quickly, conditions come back, and now is that loan going to get approved? Or we thought we were on track, right? And so the latest and loudest can really get in the way. And then the third one is using your calendar as a to-do list, having a calendar that doesn't truly reflect the reality of your day, and instead having a bunch of tasks on there that you're not really getting done, right? Or having a bunch of time blocked you're not really honoring. So that's the other one that gets in people's way. The fourth one is doing double work. For any of us that do the same kind of work over and over again, for me, right, when I run my classes, I have to send the same communication out to people. When I have a new one-on-one client, I have all these startup, information I have to send them, right? It would be ridiculous for me to type that over and over again. So doing the double work means like sending that same email to more than one person at a different time is a waste of your time, right? And so if doing double work is a really common one that gets in people's way. So having a system to hold on to all of those emails and information you send. Number 5 is not having a rhythm, not giving yourself that time either on a daily basis to say what's on tap for today, right? And make sure you're being realistic about it, and not having that weekly check-in to say, okay, I'm going to get everything known again, right? I'm going to get that email inbox empty. I might not be able to do it all, but I'm going to know it all and make choices about when I'm going to do those things. I'm going to get anything that popped into my head and any note on my desk, going to get that into my system, right? Getting all the things so you can clear things out again and start fresh. So not having that rhythm, not giving yourself that time gets in people's way. And the last one is one we're actually going to work on right now. Confusing projects and actions. Most to-do lists that I see when people start working with me are really a list of projects. And sometimes there's actions mixed in. So I could be like, I could have a to-do list that says, finish the paint on the outside of the house, or it's usually going to be like paint house, right? Paint house is like what's on the list, and email Sky and blah blah blah, right? But when I dig into each of those, like email Sky, I actually can do, like, I can email her because I just have a quick question for her about the upcoming class. That's it, right? That's something I can actually do and check off my list. Paint house, that is not something I can check off my list, right? In a single day, right? In a single work setting, in a single work session, right? So it's a matter of knowing the difference between a project and an action. What's the next action on Paint House? What's the next action on schedule doctor's appointment, right? Those kinds of things. So I want to know for you guys, of these productivity roadblocks, which one is the one that is getting you the most right now? So type the number into the chat to tell me which one do you think is your greatest struggle, is your biggest roadblock, that things are scattered, that you're focusing on the latest and loudest, that you're using the calendar as your to-do list, that you're doing double work, that you don't have a rhythm, or that you're confusing projects and actions. So I'm seeing some ones come through. What else? What else you guys got? Everybody's just scattered. 356, yes. I hear you. I was waiting. Usually somebody, or at least a few people, are like, there's more. For Connor, time management. Leon, say more about time management. What does that mean to you?
Well, a lot of times we sit there, especially now where people are sitting home. You'd already brought up about kids at home. So you pulled in multiple directions. And so people have a hard time really focusing on blocking out the time to get the things they want done. And as a result of that, that's where the frustration factor starts setting in, because what happens is at the end of the day, you didn't get what you needed done. You say, I'll do it tomorrow, but tomorrow you have other things going. So that usually rolls into the snowball effect.
Got it. Thank you. All right. So for you, Sky, I want you to pick one. And for Christian, I want you to pick one of them too. Just pick one of your numbers that you listed that you think might be getting in your way the most, okay? And Leon, when it comes to time management, same thing. Like if that's the thing you're going to focus on, I want you guys to think of what is the next physical, visible thing you can do to make progress on this roadblock. What is the next thing I could walk in and see you doing to improve on this roadblock? So if some of you said number one, that you're feeling scattered, right? So what could you do to be less scattered? What is one thing that I could come in and see you doing, knowing that you're making progress on this? So write it down for yourself and then put it in the chat for me. And Jalen, can I pick on you? Okay, can you unmute?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you said number one, scattered. So it's so what I want to help people understand is that next action thinking, right? So when it comes to feeling scattered, what is one thing you could do to be less scattered? Like, where is everything right now? Why is it that you feel scattered? And then what could you do?
Yeah, I think the main thing with that is there's just a lot going on all the time. So like, I'll be working on a project and then I'll get like a Teams message or an email that's urgent, or, somebody asked me to do something mid-task. And so what I tend to do, which is not the best thing at all, is I will put whatever I'm doing on pause and go help that person, because I don't want that person to be waiting on me for anything. So maybe just being able to focus on what I'm doing and in kind of honoring that time, or at least get to like a good stop point, could be something that could help.
Yep. And what do you think about having like a script, like something that you could say, right? That you could practice saying to, as well as the system, like, okay, I'm going to put this right here. Like, by when do you need it? Like, what is it that you need, and by when do you need it, kind of thing. So that way you can better determine the priority. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, I love that.
Yeah. So your next action might be, rather than just, because what you're talking about is a behavioral change, right? You're like, okay, I need to behave differently. And that's hard. So what is it that you need in order to behave differently? And so it might be having like, well, what will I say? Like, I don't know about you, but I'm somebody who likes to help people too. So it's like, what would I say, when they come and ask me for something? And so it might be helpful to think about like, what would you say, and have that written out for yourself and practice it a couple of times. So that next action of like brainstorming a script, that's something I could see you doing, right? I could witness and walk in and see you doing, that is actually moving this scattered feeling forward, like moving this out of the way for you. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. And then thinking about like, how are you going to capture the thing? How are you going to gather the thing that they said they needed? Like, are you going to write it down? Are you going to put it in? Do you guys have a CRM that you use for tasks? Like, where are you going to put the request so that you don't lose track of it, would be the other thing I would be thinking about too.
Yeah. We have a CRM that we use called Airtable that we use for our bigger tasks. Love that. It's amazing. And then for my smaller tasks, this works for me. Sky hates it. But I put everything on my little Post-it cube, and I have it kind of prioritized by like different sections of things, because there's nice. A lot going on.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. Exactly. I love it. Cool. Thank you for letting me pick on you. I mean, hopefully you didn't feel picked on, but thank you for going through that with me, so that people could have an example of what I'm talking about. So when we're talking about what's the next thing, it really is something that you could do to shift this way of being, right? So thanks, Jalen. Hey, Sky, I saw you unmute. Were you going to say something?
So I picked rhythm for my biggest one right now, and I guess I'm wondering, because it just feels overwhelming to like create a whole schedule and then try to follow it like every single day. So do you have a recommendation for a first step towards that specific roadblock?
Yes. If nothing else, a weekly check-in. If nothing else, give yourself an hour, which I would actually recommend 2 hours, but an hour. And you can start with 30 minutes. And if that's too long, then start with 15 minutes. But pick how long do you think you could take once a week to kind of like, okay, where is everything at? What do I need to do? What did I miss? That kind of thing. How long do you think you would need to do that?
Probably an hour, yeah.
Okay. So what I usually say is then cut it in half, right? If you think it's an hour, then cut it in half, so that way you can have a chance at some success here. So in what day of the week would be ideal? Would you want to start your week with that, or would you want to wrap up your week with that? Everybody's different.
Ooh.
Or is it a midweek check-in, right?
I like the idea of ending the week because I think that's the stressful part about going into the weekend and the whole like Sunday scaries situation.
Yes.
Is because you haven't
Yes.
like brain dumped, and so maybe there's
Mm-hmm.
a solution there. Yeah.
Cool. Okay. So if you did it on Fridays, say, does that count as your end of week?
Mm-hmm.
Generally? Okay. So Fridays. And then is it a like first thing in the morning thing, a late morning thing, an afternoon thing? Like what would feel best? Because it can't be too close to the end of the day because you might uncover things that like, oh crap, I got to get this done before business and a business, right? So you don't want to make it like 4 o'clock because that will be more stressful. But before 4 o'clock or whenever it is you wrap up, you know, when would be a good time to give it a shot?
Lunchtime probably.
What time? Oh, lunchtime?
Lunchtime probably, yeah.
Okay, cool. So it might be helpful. I don't know about you, but it helps me to have accountability. So maybe get an accountability buddy who also does a lunchtime check-in with you. Jalen's like, me, pick me. Right? Where you guys can have that like, okay, we're going to kick off at noon or whatever time you guys want. And we're going to wrap up by 12:30 and then check in with each other to see what you learned or see what you uncovered. And it might turn into an hour eventually. But that's where I would start is weekly at least. And then you'll get to a rhythm daily around like, you're going to start to uncover things weekly that then on a daily, you're going to be like, okay, now because of what I uncovered on Friday, I need to be looking at these things on different days. Does that make sense? All right. So your next action, so we uncovered when it's going to happen already, right? So your next action would be to actually block that time on your calendar and honor it and make sure to communicate to the people who need to know about this. So does Jeff need to know? I'm not sure if he's listening, but does Jeff need to know, right? That you're going to be unavailable for that half hour on Fridays, right? Who else needs to know? Who else on the team, right? So make sense? All right, cool.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Ooh, organize the piles. Yes, organize the piles. I love that next action. Woohoo, love it. Yes, that is, I love doing the quick sort. What can I get rid of? What really needs action? And so the key will be whatever needs action, having a place to be able to put that action. That's a great one. I love it. Setting long-term goals and keeping them front and center. So Connor, what will you do in order to set those long-term goals? What is the very next action that you will take to actually make that happen? What would I walk in and see you doing? Will you be brainstorming? And do you have what you need? So that's one of the other questions I ask people a lot is, okay, you figured out what you need to do next, but do you actually have what you need to do next? If you don't have what you need, then your next action is actually to get what you need, right? So if scheduling a doctor's appointment is the next thing you need to do, but it's a brand new doctor and it's a brand new specialist or something like that, you can't just schedule the appointment. Maybe you need to do research first. Your next action might be research. So when it comes to long-term goals, what is the very next thing you need to do, and do you have what you need? And sometimes you might need to do a little research for that. Okay, I promised a free resource for y'all. So I'm going to just go ahead and pop some information into the chat for you. It's a productivity reset guide, and you can just click on it on the link, or copy the link probably, I think is what you have to do. Copy the link. Oh no, you can click on it. Click on the link and pop your information in, and you'll get the guide and as well as an email to help you move forward with it. So go ahead and grab that if you'd like to get a recap of all the myths that we talked about, all the truths, all the solutions. But what I also did was provide a solution for every single roadblock that we talked about. So, so that there's at least one thing that you can try to implement for each of the roadblocks for those of you who listed more than one. So the truth is, you guys, you have what you need to get where you need to go. The missing piece is a system and support to keep you on track. That's what's missing. You have everything you need. You don't need a new anything. You've got it all. There's a ruby slipper there for a reason. This is a very Dorothy Oz moment. It's all inside of you. But sometimes we need the community, we need the support, we need the mentorship. And so hopefully I provided some of that for you guys today so that you can feel more clear, more control, and more accomplished. All right, that is it for the formal content. Sky, I'll let you take it from here.
Does anyone have any final questions for Elise while we still have her? If you want to dive into like anything specific to maybe an aha, this would be the time. We have like 5 minutes left, so.
And I love Q&A, so feel free.
Let's see.
Jeff, what were your ahas from today? Oh, he muted.
What's that?
I said, what were your ahas from today?
I always have ahas. I don't know. I mean, I'm just so overwhelmed. I already signed up for your sheet to get that over to me to get started on anything. I'm a aha about self-improvement, and I'm always looking for ways to get better. So I take in everything. Yeah. The key is when you do stuff. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong camera. Sorry.
It's okay.
That was my side view.
It was good. It's a good profile.
Yeah, right. Is you got to put something in place where you can actually stick to it. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the hardest thing that I struggle with is, and I struggle with this all my life with my weight, for example, you know, and I finally got to the point where I had this aha moment, like I got to get some shit done in my health and things like that. And sticking to it is key. So I'm excited to get that plan from you and see if I can figure out a way to implement it in my life where it's going to stick. You know, that's always, the key. I think with everyone is, can you make it stick? Do you have any good feedback on that? Like,
yeah, a couple of things. One, I'm with you. I'm all about sustainable success. That's what I always say. I'm like, I don't want to help you create success that is like nose to the grindstone. You can't keep it up and you're going to burn out. I want to help you create success that is sustainable. And the best way to do that is to look at your patterns of success elsewhere. And so what was it that you like, what was your approach in changing your health and your eating and things like that? What was the approach there that led to success? And how can you take some of those concepts and apply them to an area where you're trying to achieve more? For me, it's always going to be accountability. I am wired for external accountability. And so, you know, I could do, well, I do have a coach, right? I have a coach. So there's some accountability there, of course. But even my own programs that I host help me be accountable to my own systems and my own programs. So you don't always have to go find that accountability elsewhere. Sometimes you can create it. And so your accountability to personal growth, you've created that by having these lunch and learns, right? So, and hosting masterclasses and things like that. So I would be looking at what made you successful in the past, and how can you take some of those components and apply it to where you're trying to be successful now?
No, I agree. I mean, I thought you were asking me a question and my response was going to be, how did I lose all that weight? I got a coach. I was like, I struggled. I hired a health coach, you know, my business was struggling for years and years and years. And then I hired a business coach and my business exploded. I hired a weight coach and I lost all this weight. So it's kind of like, we need a coach for every aspect of our lives. And people say, oh, well, coaching costs so much, but it really, in reality, what it does for you personally and your growth, it's like a drop in the bucket. It's like, I mean, there was a point in my life where I had 4 different coaches for 4 different aspects of my life. And now I'm back down to 1 right now, but I'm actually looking for another one in this. I mean, I got to get organized and stuff and get my stuff back on track. So this was perfect for getting my head back in the game here. And all these refis going on, like I got so many things going on, it's crazy.
Yeah, you guys, it's a crazy time for y'all, and I'm just happy for your guys' success. And it can be a lot, right? And it can be a lot. Yeah, absolutely.
No, I'm with you for sure.
Thanks,
Any other questions, guys? Well, thanks again, Elise. We really appreciate you, your time. We love having you on here. You've always been so fantastic with us. So we really appreciate you and hope to have you on here for the next one here very soon. Thanks everybody for watching. Again, this is our mastermind. We do this the last Tuesday of every month. We have a great speaker that comes on and we do a quick market update to keep you in the loop and give back to our partners and our clientele out there. So thanks again for jumping on. Have a fabulous day and a great rest of your week. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everybody. Way to show up today.
Thanks, Elise. Thanks.
You're welcome. Bye, everybody.